A performance that we need to discuss following the Minnesota Vikings' thrilling 12-7 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars was the performance of Minnesota Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold, because he has clearly fallen off a cliff from where he was at the beginning of the season. First few games of the season, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, MVP conversation. This guy resurrected his career. Are the Vikings going to re-sign him to a big contract? Are they going to let him walk in free agency, and a team like the Raiders or the Giants or some other squad is going to pick him up, and the Vikings are going to be left only with J.J. McCarthy next year, and he's never started a game. But what are the Minnesota Vikings going to do? Well, since then, he's regressed, and it's been a big regression. He's missing wide receivers wide open. He's only targeting Justin Jefferson and has tunnel vision towards him, and he's throwing interceptions. And now the Jacksonville Jaguars game happened. And this is such an interesting game to analyze, partially because, one, he played so bad in the red zone area. 3 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. The first pick to Justin Jefferson got tipped and it went to a defender. His second interception was a ball thrown to Justin Jefferson into the end zone, and it was 2 feet behind him. His third interception should have found Justin Jefferson in the corner of the end zone, threw it 2 feet behind him. His accuracy is nowhere close to where it needs to be right now. But what's so fascinating about it is that, let's just pretend that the Minnesota Vikings, we don't need to pretend actually, the Minnesota Vikings put up 12 points in this game, 4 field goals. They also had the opportunity to score 3 more times in this game. Let's just pretend those are touchdowns. 19, 26, 33. The Minnesota Vikings had an opportunity to put up 33 points in this football game, which tells me something. It tells me that on almost every single possession the Minnesota Vikings had, they drove the ball down the field. As bad as Sam Darnold was, somehow the Minnesota Vikings moved the ball. And Ryan Wright only had 2 punts in this football game. So, as bad as Darnold was, he still drove the football down the field for the Minnesota Vikings to score points. But when he got down the field, he just threw an interception almost every single time, which is something I don't think I've ever seen before. Like, how can you be so bad yet drive the football down the field on almost every single possession? And there's some statistics that were interesting and some facts about this game that were mind-boggling. It's like when your mind's in a bottle. But here's Sam Darnold's stat line for the game, and I'll share the screen with my YouTube watchers. 24 for 38, 241 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks, only 1 sack for 8 yards. One thing Darnold did do a good job of in this game is scrambling out of the pocket when he needed to and getting some yards. He had 7 carries for 28 yards, a QBR of 33.6, and a passer rating of 48.2. The Minnesota Vikings defense carried them to a victory in this game. They put the offense on the back of their shoulders because Mac Jones, the Jacksonville Jaguars, couldn't do anything. And here's another stat. Sam Darnold, this comes from Kevin Seifert on Twitter, now leads the NFL with 13 turnovers. He gets credit for a fumble on Ty Chandler's drought to pitch in Week 5, which was on Ty Chandler, not Sam Darnold. Says, regardless, Kevin O'Connell effusively expressed confidence in him post-game. It would be craziness not to. So the question that Kevin O'Connell was referring to, and it would be crazy not to, is, the belief in Sam Darnold. But then there was a question whether or not the Vikings should bench Sam Darnold in this football game because of his poor performance and substitute Nick Mullins. The problem with Nick Mullins is that he is the exact same as Sam Darnold. It's not like you're taking out Sam Darnold and you're putting in a conservative guy who's going to be safe with the football near the red zone. Nick Mullins is the craziest guy I've ever seen with the football in his hands. This guy makes throws that I've never seen any quarterback make before because he's such a risky thrower of the football. It's entertaining, but it's risky. And the problem with substituting Nick Mullins is what I was talking about before. Sam Darnold led 6 drives, 4 drives, because the Vikings scored 4 field goals and had 3 picks near the red zone. Had 7 drives of points that could have happened. So it's one of those situations where, you played so bad in the red zone, but up to the red zone, he was playing pretty good. He was hitting T.J. Hockenson on all these drives. He's hitting Josh Oliver on all these drives. He's hitting his tight ends, and the Minnesota Vikings rushing game was decent, and they're getting down the field almost on every single time, and then you just fall apart in the red zone. So there's a lot of correctable mistakes in this game, even though he performed so badly. Just don't throw an interception when you're at the 20-yard line and about to score. So, yeah, he was bad. But there's also a lot to like about this. And somehow the Minnesota Vikings pulled off the impossible and won this football game because the statistics that they put up were crazy. This never happens. So anyway, thank you for making this podcast part of your day, and hit that subscribe button right there.